Henshin a go baby. What's good, guys? Yoku here, and Prydwen just revamped the tier list completely. I know you might have heard that like some months ago, but I mean like a real revamp, like full-on revamp. Now, I knew about this a little bit early, and I couldn't say anything. So a lot of this stuff I've seen. Some of this stuff I may or may not have influenced. I did have some opinions on it. I believe a few of us creators did get an opinion on it, but ultimately, this was the collective thought process of all of Ant, and I believe Grim is still helping out. I'm not too sure, and just the entire Prydwen team working on Starro with, like I said, some influence or some questions here and there from the creative minds like myself, your content creators. This tier list revamp, chef's kiss. I think this is the best direction they can take with the tier list overall, and eventually, and I'm going to talk about it in this video as well, because I know that I will have a part of that, but eventually we're going to get into what I believe will be team metas, right? So instead of just single character tier lists, we're going to start getting into that team tier list, and that's what I'm the most excited for. But let's go ahead and talk about the actual tier list. Let's go over that together and then see what we got going on. Boom. We can look at everything, and I'm going to go ahead and there we go. All right. So now you guys can see everything. I believe we're chilling, okay? So the tier list, I'm reading off the red right now. The tier list has been fully revamped. And to learn more about what changed, read our blog here. As Honkai Starro crosses the 1-year service mark, it has collected far more characters than it originally had, with many of those characters being incredibly viable in the end game. The increase in overall power and number of characters revealed some flaws in our old tier list that we aim to remedy under the reworked one. The letter system, which before was S, S+, A+, or A, B, whatever, has changed to the number system. And this is closer to what CN, or just Asian in general, right? CN, Japanese, Korean, a lot of their tier lists always use a number system. That'll consist of tier 0, tier 0.5, tier 1, tier 1.5, tier 2, whatever the case may be. Now, I'm familiar with this tiering system from fighting games. Again, in America or in the UK, right, the global side of things, or the EN side of things, normally we'll use lettering systems to represent tiers. But in the Japanese community, at least from fighting game perspectives, they've always used tier 0, tier 1, tier 0.5, whatever the case may be. And it really helps you separate which characters are what and from who. It doesn't mean that something's bad or good. I mean, obviously, like a tier 9 would be like the worst character in the game, right? But it doesn't always mean that a character's bad, but they are separated in some manner. And again, I'm super excited for this, the revamp here, because of some very small changes. So we can see here, under the letter system, we felt the closeness of character power was not well conveyed. I think we can all agree on that from what we've been looking at for the Prydwen tier list. Maybe in the beginning, it was understood. We could all agree that it was pretty well conveyed. But once we started to hit 1.6, when Ruan Mei came out into the game, that's when things really started to change up, shake up. And there were so many different opinions all the time. The difference between an A tier character and an S tier character was largely up to the interpretation of the viewer and whatever experience they had in the past with tier lists and their letter rankings. To help with this, we're changing the format from letters to numbers to better represent the closeness of the characters between the tiers. For those used to our old tiers, here is how things changed. So S+ tier is tier 0. Although I think S+ tier should have just been, this should have become God tier, but it is what it is. S tier is now tier 1. A tier is tier 2, B tier is tier 3, so on and so forth. The one thing that I will comment on about this is I think this would have been a great point in time, and maybe they'll do it in the future. This would be a great point in time to establish what the plus system would have been by implementing the 0.5 system. I think that would be very good. So I'm going to go off. Oh, wait, never mind. They might have it here. Oh, yeah, dude, this is what I'm talking about. The meta lines. I love this. So what the meta lines are is basically categorizing the section of characters into what they would be. So tier 0 and 0.5 above this line is going to be apex characters. These are characters that are the cream of the crop. This is like your golden standard, right? You probably can't get any better than this. They're the best at what they do and the best in their class. Meta characters, this is going to be very important. Meta characters define a character that is representative in the meta. They're strong in the meta, and they would essentially be what would represent that thing in the meta, right? So like if Pela is a meta character, she's going to represent the defense or nihility class within that meta category, right? Tier 2, tier 1.5, whatever the case may be. Niche characters, this doesn't mean they suck. It just means that they fulfilled a specific role, and it's not something that's widely used or as strong overall compared to meta characters. The forgotten ones, trash. These characters are forgotten for a reason. They don't get brought up. They're not the greatest. They may have some use. You might be able to pull something off, but not with a collective of tier 5 characters. Okay, half tiers. To further define the tier list and correctly represent the power level of each character in relation to each other, we have added half tiers to the higher tier brackets. Under our previous system, a tier rating jump of 1 tier rating made it difficult to position characters accurately, often leading to multiple characters ending up in the same tier despite a clear power and utility difference. A perfect example of this would have been having QQ, Seele, Jingyuan, Blade. Who else was in S tier? Oh, and then Imbiber to Lune at one point. All of them being S tier, but they're clearly being, and Dr. Ratio. All of them being S tier, but there were clearly distinct differences on their power level between those 5 characters. They all did not belong in S tier, and that's why I constantly said it. For those that watched my tier list videos, I've always said there needs to be a plus system. So now we have the point system, right? 0.5, and this is going to help separate that. So you'll still have a character that might be tier 0, but instead of being tier 0 like God tier, they're tier 0.5, which they're still 0. They're just not as strong as the God tier, and that's totally fine. Keep that in mind when going through it. Lastly, we have the new feature. Oh wait, no, I think we have a lot. Whoa, we got a lot going on. Okay, new feature, which is the tags, pros, cons, and archetype. I know they're gonna work on this a little bit more too, but point being is that I'm really excited to see who has what so far. Break effect, debuff, dot, follow-up attack, advancing forward, buffs,
Yeah.
delays, energy, SP positive, SP negative. These are excellent tags to have placed on a character, right? Because now you have something where like Topaz might be in the, I don't know, tier 1 category, and then you're like, oh, why is Topaz in tier 1 in the nihility section or whatever section they're going to put her in, right? And then it would say because follow-up attack enabler, so she'll have the follow-up attack and tag, and then it'll also have debuff, right? So then she'll be a debuffer and it'll apply that. So like no one else in the game is doing these two things as good as her or at all, and that's why she's here. Having tags that represent what a character is very strong at and what they're known for, notable for, very good for new players, very good for players who think they know the game but don't really know the game, or they're trying to understand the game, anything like that. New light cone criteria. Okay, might be a little fishy, a little hot take. It's always been out for a year, we know about that. Due to this, we've decided to relax the light cone restrictions on the tier list by slightly changing the criteria from only allowing exclusively absolutely free light cones to also including S5 gotcha light cones like S5 Memories of the Past and S1 standard banner light cones like Clara's Signature. This is still a little bit iffy because it doesn't, okay, Memories of the Past is one thing, right? But it does say S5 gotcha light cones. You can't do there, right? Because that wouldn't be a signature, yeah? This does not include any form of battle pass light cones, any event limited light cones, or higher superimposition step levels of standard light cones. I don't think they meant to include the gotcha part right there, right? Because Memories of the Past, that's not a gotcha light cone, yeah? That's not a gotcha light cone. So I think maybe they don't mean that, because S5 gotcha, that everything's broken, right? They don't mean that. Oh, okay, sword play. So stuff like sword play. Okay. I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. Memories of the Past is the harmony light cone. You guys are right. Okay. So still no signature light cones, no event light cones. Got you. Some tier placements explained Acheron. Acheron's released firmly in the past. She has since proven herself to be an absolute powerhouse at almost all levels of account investment, thanks to her flexibility and team building, strong inherent damage, blah, blah, blah. For these reasons, under the new half tier system, we feel she edges out Imbiber Lune and Jingliu at this time. Okay, easy. Yeah, easy. Robin, Sparkle, and Ruan May. Okay, the holy trinity of harmony. Why? Yo, Ant, hear me out. I'm giving you permission to use the term the Powerpuff Girls. You could do that. You could do that. We do the Holy Trinity of Harnett. We don't have to call them that. The Powerpuff Girls rolls off the tongue. Super easy. Everyone knows what it is. Easy. All right. After extensive testing and long discussions, we've decided to place all three of them in the same tier for MOC, and Robin and Ruan Mei slightly above Sparkle and Pure Fiction for now. In Memory of Chaos, these three characters are all absolutely at the apex tier, but with such defined specialties and varied powers, our team could not decisively place one or two of them in the absolute top tier of tier 0 just yet. And as a result, we've placed them all in the tier 0.5 together. I'll have something to talk about that. For Pure Fiction, double DPS teams are far more common than in MOC. That's why we feel Robin and Ruan Mei are more valuable in this mode, and we have placed them a half tier above Sparkle. Still, with many highly anticipated damage units on the horizon, we will be revisiting the trio in the future. Okay, let's go over the tier list now that we're here, right? Now that we are here, and if I need to, there's some criteria here if we need to go over anything or, you know, like any stuff like that, but we pretty much read over all this, right? Yeah, we read over all this. So let's go over some stuff. It doesn't look like the tags are fully functional. They don't have like the little tag thing on top of them, but they do have it beneath. We can see tier 0, which this is the apex characters, right? Tier 0 and then tier 0.5. Now we're in the mix of the actual tier list, right? Acheron, tier 0, abso-fucking-lutely. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Done. They explained it. I've explained it since before this character came out. And now more than likely, everyone is finally accepting her power. Acheron is disgusting. There is no limitation on this character. She does not have the same thing that Jingliu or Imbiber de Lune have, where they're limited in their kit and somebody else has to make up for it. No, Acheron does what she wants, when she wants, how she wants, and then you put more characters on the team that follow like, hey, I want other Power Rangers on the team. Can you do that for me? Yeah, sure, I could do that for you, Acheron. Okay, bet. I've gone from being a Super Saiyan to a Super Saiyan 2. Oh, you put another character that I want on the team? I am now Super Saiyan 3. Done. That's it. You're done. The limitation is your brain. Acheron's limitation is your brain. If you have brain rot or some other form of I can't think and I can't operate this team, that is why she sucks for you. No one who is adamantly playing Honkai Star Rail that understands the game should ever, out of their mouth, say anything close to Acheron is bad, not great for anybody. It should always be she is number one. She is broken every single time. We have no one in tier 0 for specialists or amplifier. And I said I was going to talk about this. Personally, Ruan Mei still needs to be in tier 0. The only valid argument, and I've spoken with Ant about this. Ant actually explained, because I told you guys in my previous video where I got that pie or the cake analogy from was Ant. Ruan Mei, Robin, and Sparkle each share some pieces of the cake collectively, right? Which is why they're all in 0.5, tier 0.5. But from my own testing, from watching other players, there's a key difference, and I'm going to point this out in another video with the Mei versus Robin, but I'll talk about it here just briefly. There's something very distinct about Robin that people are kind of just, they're not mentioning it, even though it's clear as day. Mei and Robin are not on the same level. If we're talking about purely their buffs, then yeah, Mei and Robin are on the same level because they give, relatively speaking, the same buffs at E0 and then at E1, so on and so forth. But when it comes to the actual implication of this character, putting this character on the team, the ease of use of this character, the same thing that I just said about Acheron is the same thing that you would say about Mei. Mei is a character, you slap her on the team, you're done. There is no extra work that you need to do. You don't need S1. There's no energy requirement. You're done. But Mei is done. You could fucking close your eyes and piss in a lake, and Mei will give you a mega buff. It does not matter what you're doing. Mei will give you a mega buff, period. Follow-up attacking teams, DOT teams, dual DPS teams, triple DPS teams, hyper carry teams, break effect teams. Mei does whatever the team needs her to do easily enough. And if you want to extend that, she also helps you run the stainless teams. Mei is purely cracked. And we haven't even gotten the break effect team yet, because I see you guys talking about some characters. I can't mention them yet. We haven't even gotten what she really wants for a team. So she's already number one for people that like, hey, who do you want on your team? May. For all these teams that she doesn't really like, it's whatever. I don't care about them teams. I'll boost them up, whatever. But the team she really wants hasn't even fully released yet. May is cracked out of her mind. Dunzo Funzo. Robin. Robin is, again, buff-wise, just as good as May. Utility-wise, not as good as May. In order for Robin to do what Robin does, I'm going to break this down as simple as possible. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of arguments. Usually what I say is a lot of hot takes, but I want you guys, before you get angry, you type at me about how I'm a Ruan May simp or a Ruan May simp, and I hate Robin. I don't. I want you guys to understand that I've been extensively testing this character in game for the last 2 weeks, going on 3. I need y'all to very clearly listen to what I'm going to tell you, and then go fact check it with everyone else's videos that you've seen on YouTube. Creators, players, whatever the case may be. Ruan May excels in a follow-up attacking team. Done. It is what it is. That team is perfect. It's a top 3 team. All right, Topaz, Dr. Ratio, Robin, and then Aventurine. Done. That team does everything Robin wants to do perfectly fine. There is nothing that team cannot accomplish. In fact, it has no issues. Energy regeneration, ERR issues, she does not have that. With a follow-up attacking team like that, they don't exist, because you are playing the team synergistically where everyone's function is perfect. They're all doing exactly what they want to do. She does not face ERR issues with that team, signature light cone or not. You then have the damage output perfectly fine. You have, this comes up to play a lot, but actually, the action advance. The action advance is the biggest thing that people talk about, because they miscalculate why action advance is so strong. Action advance for Sparkle and Braun is very strong because they move as much as your DPS or however fast they need to be. They're not sacrificing an entire turn and then some to advance one character forward. Robin activates her ultimate and advances the entire team forward, and then she's done. Until her next turn rolls around, she is done. What happens typically, and I've seen this across the board every time, what happens is a player will play the game, they will run through the 0 cycle, and then they will get Robin's ultimate and use it towards the end of the cycle, which then boosts them up to allow them to clear wave 1, or allows them to 0 cycle entirely, depending on the team. Then you go into the first cycle, right? After you get into the first cycle, it is a slow cycle. You're not moving 2 times. Your deep is very short. I can go in the game right now and show it to you. It's a very short cycle. You go from moving 2 to 3 times a turn to 1 turn reduced. Most average players don't even have their DPS characters moving 3 times in the first cycle as it is, right? That 0 cycle, you're not moving 3 times as it is. Most players don't even have their support characters moving that fast yet. It's the average thing. So when you add Robin, who advances everyone forward, you need to take advantage in that moment. The moment you advance them forward, that's the only shot you get. That's like if you're playing basketball and everyone moves out of the way on the court for you to take the 3-point shot. And that's your only moment to get the game-winning goal. If you don't do it, the game is going to go on for another 30 minutes. The game is going to go on for another 30 minutes, and your star player is not accessible for the next 30 minutes. That's the analogy that I have for that. Obviously, basketball players could correct me if I'm wrong, but I just whipped that up, okay? Robin advances you forward. You don't get to do anything after that. Robin is literally all or nothing, okay? So when she advances you forward, and I guess, you know what? Maybe I need to show it. I'm going to show you guys just real quick. Hopefully I don't pull up anything that is, you know what? I'm not going to pull up a leak. We're just going to pull up my video. So when Robin does her thing, let me see if I can find the 0 cycle. Okay, we're on 29, right? I want you guys to pay attention. Look at the top left corner. All right. So you see on the 29th cycle, okay? We're right here. I'm right here at the end of the 29th cycle. What will happen? You go into overtime. Thank you. Thank you. Robin is going to attack. I'm going to attack with ratio. And then I'm going to activate Robin's ultimate. The reason I'm doing that is so that I can clear this wave in what would be the 0 cycle. So that when I go into wave 2, my entire 0 cycle will reset. You see that everyone gets pulled up forward except Robin. Now look at where Robin is. Everyone got bumped forward and Robin is now all the way into basically the next cycle. The end of the next cycle, 112. You see the enemy is going to go multiple times before her because the T-Rex is fast. Numby will go multiple times because of Numby. And then you have, what, 4 attacks? One, he's going to do the ice bullshit. Then he's going to attack somebody else again. And then you have 2 enemies. And then the T-Rex is going to attack twice. This is 6 different hits to potentially take out my team. Okay? When Robin advances forward, I need to capitalize on these 4 actions right now. If I don't, I'm punished for it. I go into overtime. That is what I'm explaining. Ruan made, that doesn't matter. It doesn't happen like that. I don't lose a character for using her ultimate. The reason I'm bringing this up and the reason I'm explaining this in the tier list video per se is to further validate my argument of why Robin and May are not equivalent the way that the community is either doing right now or they're going to start doing, you know, once we're here. This works on a follow-up attacking team perfectly fine. I don't have this issue. Even if I, for whatever reason, couldn't take wave 1 out in the 0 cycle, I don't have the issue of missing a character because I'm attacking offhanded so often that it doesn't matter. Ratio, ultimate, plus his follow-up attacks. Skill, plus his follow-up attacks. Numby, Topaz, Aventurine, follow-up attacks, shields. I don't have this issue. When it comes to other teams, hyper carry, damage over time, other dual DPS teams, now you run into the issues that the majority of the Robin Reddit, the Robin main Discord, other theory crafting Discords, they've all been expressing this issue, but they won't openly come out and say that it's an issue. They think it's fine, but if this were any other character, it would not be fine. Robin has a 4 to 5 turn ultimate on average after you use it in the 0 cycle. That means, and mind you, you usually skip the entire second wave. You skip it. You guys see right here, 29, she's all the way in the second wave. That first wave is small, okay? Everyone only goes once. Robin isn't fast enough because of the way her ultimate works. She just skips it. So you don't have Robin at the end of the 29th cycle. You will not have Robin in the 28th cycle, and then she will recover in the 27th cycle. Then you have to build up your ultimate. That's where the 4 to 5 turns start. So from that point, which means 4 to 5 actions is actually 4 to 5 turns for Robin specifically. And again, this is without a follow-up attacking team in mind. Now we get into what teams are we using with Robin that are not follow-up attacks. Kafka Swan. You have Jing Liu and Robin with possibly Blade. You have Seele, hypercarry Seele. Hypercarry anybody for that matter. Hypercarry ratio. All of these teams that don't actually take advantage of Robin's kit. What Robin has in her kit is basically the more my teammates attack, the more energy I receive, the extra damage I do, which can go up to like sometimes 80 to 100K, her little extra ticks of physical damage. There's a lot that happens with her doing that. When you have a character that collectively the community tries to force into a different position, i.e. the hypercarry stuff, the dual DPS stuff, the dot stuff. And I'm not even saying these comps are bad per se. I'm just saying they come with what would be consequences or negatives compared to just putting her on the follow-up attacking team. Because of these reasons, because of the truth, Robin is not on the same level as May. You cannot just slap Robin on a team and then get the same results as a May. Now, this is the second part. Most players have been saying that when you put May versus Robin, usually Robin will clear 1 cycle faster than May. So if May took you 3 cycles, same team, Robin would take you 2. What they don't tell you is that these teams are highly invested teams. Let's take, once again, we can use Lily. We can use Lacera. Any of their hyper invested teams. What do most of the comments complain about? Unrelatability, because they can't get it. They don't have signature light cones. They don't have multiple copies of Dance 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 if that was necessary. They do not have the win set. They don't have Vaughn Quack built out. They don't have certain relics built out. They don't have the speed requirements, 160 plus speed, 172 speed. They don't have all of these things that go into a high invested team. So when you look at a high investment team and then you say Robin versus Mei, obviously the Robin would win because she's just doing what Mei would buff you for and then advancing you forward. So she makes it faster. The average team, based off, especially if we're using Prydwen's new criteria, this is not possible. It's not possible for them, right? So we kind of go from there. But that's all I wanted to break down about Robin and Mei. And my justification as to why Mei is still at the top. It's not because I'm a Mei simp. It's quite literally, Robin is not easily, you just fit her right in, right? Put the Game Boy cartridge in the Game Boy, you're done. No, that's not Robin. Sparkle, 0.5. I don't even gotta talk about baby girl. I just don't. We move on to Aventurine and Fushwen. Aventurine and Fushwen, tier 0 easy. There could be an argument for Ho-Oh being here, but what I've noticed is that Ho-Oh having to consume 1 extra skill point compared to Fushwen, problematic. But admittedly, me personally, I kind of like Ho-Oh more than Fushwen. If I had it my way, I think I would put Aventurine tier 0 and then Ho-Oh tier 0. Or no, I wouldn't. I would put Aventurine tier 0 and then I put Ho-Oh and Fushwen in tier 0.5. Aventurine has changed the perspective for so many people on what a sustain should or can do. Aventurine is in a tier of his own. He is tier 0 at this point. I've done the testing. I've done the work. He works on any and every team. He's just fucking good. Fushwen used to be that. And that doesn't mean that Fushwen's bad. Fushwen's still really fucking good. But she's not doing what Aventurine does, which is all of the offhanded damage that Aventurine can bring to the table. She's not bringing that to the table. The speed at which he's bringing that damage, he's not bringing that to the table. And he's keeping you alive. And the 50% effect resistance on top of whatever else you already have is too good. Fushwen is in the same bubble as Ho-Oh. So Aventurine should be tier 0. Ho-Oh and Fushwen should be 0.5. That's how I feel about that. Now and these are Apex characters, mind you. So these are like, if you have any collection of these characters on your account, you're golden. It doesn't even matter how you slap them together on the team, right? It is what it is. I don't have to talk too much about Daniel and Jingliu as well, or Kafka and Swan, although I see that now both of them are in 0.5. I like that. I didn't necessarily agree with Swan needing to be in the same tier as Kafka, like they both needed to be S+. But I fucks with this mad heavy. I think this is good. I think this is very good. Jingliu and Daniel, they can be here. And I think the separation, now that I'm looking at the separation, I'm okay with that. It's not that I don't think Daniel is strong, but I could see why he's here. Now I will say, and again, I will talk about this specifically when we get to her, but well, I guess I'll mention it now. Personally, after doing like a solid like month of testing, I tested characters between different months. I was gonna turn them into videos. I didn't put it together, but I've been testing Seele for the last month under the criteria of Prydwen, even if I wasn't using that criteria, but because I've already done it. The no signature light cone. So in this case, Daniel would have Fall of an Aeon and Seele would have Cruising in the Stellar Sea. No Eidolons and, you know, standard whatever else you need him to be. Best teams, doesn't matter. But I took the same hyper carry team. So Sparkle, Ping Yun, and I don't know, Mei or Pela, right? And I gave that to each Daniel or Seele. To your surprise, Seele will beat out Daniel. Anyone that actually plays Seele, and I need to make that very clear, because I used to be the player. I used to play Seele, and I still had opinions on Seele, but I was not actively playing Seele. Actually playing this character, and you see what she's capable of doing in these teams with smart play, I made a statement that I can back up, but I made a statement recently on my YouTube community post and in the comment section. It's a hot take. I think Seele is the third best DPS, or arguably the third best DPS in the game. And the order that it goes would be Acheron, Jingliu, and then Seele. And ratio is not there. Not ratio, Daniel. The argument is it's number 3 is ratio or it's Seele. And I cannot determine who. I can't determine who. But it ain't Daniel. Daniel is not number 3. Especially, again, based off the criteria of Prydwen themselves, Daniel is not number 3. And I can argue this up and down the road. Anyone can get in a call with me, and I will argue this up and down the road easily. The concept that people have for Daniel and his damage is it's inflated. The misconception that people have about Seele and her damage being misguided. But that's all I have to say about the Apex character tier list. And even, I guess, to round this off, right? Before we finish that off, I want to make a very clear statement. Daniel is not the character that most players are consistently zero cycling anything with since day 1 of their banner. Since Daniel has been released, he has not been consistently zero cycling every MOC. Seele has. There has not been a single MOC that Seele has not zero cycled. Every MOC, Seele has zero cycled it. I cannot say the same thing for every character in the game except Acheron. That is the only other character in the game currently that has zero cycled everything. The difference is Acheron does it with ease. With ease. Seele requires high investment. Daniel requires high investment, but he is still not able to do that in the same manner that Seele is. Now we can move on. Going into tier 1. Now we're at the meta characters. Big boy list right here. Tier 1. Mind you, meta characters tier 1 through tier 2, I believe, is S tier. Let me just double check. Is it ratings? Yep, tier 1 through tier 2. This is your S tier. Okay. Ratio, S tier. Absolutely. Agreed. Easy. Topaz being in tier 1. Yes. Remember what I said earlier. Debuffs and follow-up attacks. She's the only one in the game that gives you both. And she's damn good at doing what she does. Regardless of people's desire to use Pela or Silver over Topaz, they don't do what she does. They add debuffs, yes, but they're not capitalizing on what the team wants, the synergy, which is follow-up attacks. Tier 1, Ting Yun. I think in comparison to these 3, yes. Yes, Ting Yun is a tier 1. In comparison to these 3 characters, I could agree with this. Yeah, the separation helps tremendously right now. Luocha, yes, tier 1. The separation between Ho-Oh, Fushuen, Aventurin, and then you have Luocha, yes. But I'm okay with that. I was gonna say that Gallagher needs to be in the same tier as Luocha, or they need to flip it, but I'm okay with that. And yeah, dude, Mateus, I know YouTube isn't gonna like the takes that I just said. They're probably gonna attack me for the Robin May. They won't even get to the Seele part. But again, these are arguments that I'm always willing to have these debates. I just can't do it in YouTube, and I'm gonna leave this in the video. I can't do these debates in YouTube comments because what happens every single time someone says some really disrespectful or nasty shit, the EO haters come out of nowhere, and then what would have been a good debate with like factual evidence between both parties turns into, yeah, bro, EO just hates men. Yeah, and he hates Sparkle, and he hates Robin. He hates Daniel and Jingliu too. Oh, and he hates Swan. It turns into a fest, and I'm like, dude, I didn't say any of that. People start bringing up shit that I never said. Yeah, like this one time where EO said that Seele was #1 in the game, and that Jing Yuan would never be as strong as Acheron. But obviously, the Jing Yuan mains have proved that he's stronger than Jing Liu and Acheron on the same team together. All you have to do is give him the Infinity Gauntlet, I never said that shit. I never said that, you know, but whatever. I agree with this though. But like I was saying about Gallagher and Luocha, there could be an argument made for Gallagher going over Luocha, but the Luocha being over here, because you see his only tag is SP positive, right? That's the only thing he brings to the table, is being user friendly. I'm gonna give you guys a perfect example. Gallagher is an Android device. He might be the new OnePlus. He might be the new Google Pixel, right? Luocha is an iPhone. Gallagher has so many more options. He's great. I would love to have a Gallagher in my pocket so I can do whatever the fuck I want, when I want, how I want. I'm able to tinker it as much as I want to. But for the degular employee, the average person, the guy who just scrolls through TikTok, the girl that just wants to take selfies all day, I don't want to have to learn what a root canal is for my phone. I don't want to have to go through the root access or the root folder to get to the pictures in my phone, to unlock 4K recording in my phone. I want my phone to just open an app and do that thing and do it damn good. That's Luocha. The reason that I can't even argue tier 1 versus 1.5 anymore with him and Gallagher in particular, Luocha is an iPhone. He just does it. Whatever you want him to do, he just does it. You're done. That's it. I need a healer. Pick up Luocha. I need a healer that's going to keep the team from using a bunch of SP. That's it. The other 3 characters can take care of themselves. Put Luocha on the team. The problem is that Luocha is not worth pulling over the other options. And that's what a lot of the Luocha mains or players who like, they're all over Luocha, right? Anytime you say something bad about Luocha, they don't lose it. I don't understand why everyone's saying Luocha's bad all of a sudden. No one's saying he's bad. Open your ear hole and you could hear exactly what is being said. His pull value is not the same as it was before. The standard quality of Luocha is still phenomenal. Whether or not you should pull him over a Ho-Oh rerun, over a Fu Xuan rerun, no. That's all it is. Pretty much, right? Tier 1.5, Clara, Jingyuin, QQ, Seele. Now, I just talked about Seele, so absolutely, Prydwen. No, she does not need to be in this tier. Again, I could argue anyone. I can argue this up and down the block as to why she does not need to be in the same tier as QQ, Clara, and Jingliu, or my bad, Jingyuin. She needs to be personally in tier 0.5. Put Daniel in tier 1, and you call it a day. But I understand Prydwen does not like to ruffle feathers. That's cool. Seele should be in the same tier as Ratio. If you don't want to ruffle feathers and you want like a safe middle ground, Seele should be in the tier 1, right alongside Ratio, because they have the same damage performance and output given the opportunities of team building that you would essentially give to these characters. And to be fair, a lot of players that are average just don't play Seele correctly. I have proof. I mean, everybody has proof of this, but a good example of this is literally, I think I saw a retrospective on like why people don't play Seele. And in the footage and an example of how they were playing Seele, not a single basic attack was used. But Seele's whole thing is tricking the turn, the action value. Her whole thing is abusing the fuck out of it and taking advantage of that so that she gets as many turns as possible. Not using her basic attack and her skill and her ult and resurgence, you're not doing it right. But that's another conversation. Tier 1.5 is solid. Well, I guess we'll go through the rest of them, right? Bronya and Silver in tier 1.5, yes. Now, I did see some of you guys talking about this. Why is Pela beneath Gallagher? They're not in the same tier. Remember, what we're looking at isn't so much the tier 0.5 or tier 2. With the new tier list, it's very important now to look at the amplifier and who's where. So the sustain category is its own thing. And then the amp category is its own thing. Silver and Bronya are on a higher tier than Pela. Now, I know a lot of discourse goes on between Pela versus Silver. Pela is the universally better Silver, if you will, because she hits blast, AoE, whatever. But in truth, she is not better than Silver. Silver still has the one thing that Pela doesn't have. Silver has a lot of things that Pela doesn't have, but let's put it this way. Everything that Pela can do, Silver can do, but better. What do I mean by that? Silver needs the light cone, Pela needs her light cone resolutions in order to apply the defense reduction outside of using technique and ultimate. Silver does not. Silver basic attacks, you got every reduction in the game, right? She does something, you got a reduction. She breathes on you, you got a reduction. She looks your way, you got a reduction. Pela then has her ultimate, which, gives a reduction, the defense reduction. Silver's ultimate gives that defense reduction, but like 50 times more. I think it's just like twice, right? Like 2 times more defense reduction or something like that, on top of all the other stuff. Silver's kit, everything she does gives some form of a debuff. She stacks multiple debuffs at a time. It is what it is, right? Then you have what would be the final nail in the coffin for Silver. Pela only has ice res penetration or something like that, right? 12%, I think, something like that, when she uses her skill, which only benefits characters like Jingliu, Yangqing, or Misha. Silver puts a penetration resistance for any element on anybody, doesn't care. Even better is she removes the resistance that an enemy would have by just taking it away from them and then making them weak to that element. Silver brings, then we still have quantum entanglement, right? Quantum break, which is entanglement. Huge. That's basically a DOT stack. That's a whole different thing that Pela unfortunately does not have. Freeze, as much as I like freeze is ass in this game. The fact that when an enemy gets frozen and then they get to jump up immediately, that's bullshit. But whatever. Everything Pela does, Silver does, and more, but better. So now, when we look at these two in comparison, they can't be in the same tier, and Pela objectively cannot be above Silver. What happens in this conversation? People want Pela above Silver because Pela is a 4-star character and she's more collectively, right? As a group, she's used more than Silver because the majority of players have a Pela at some point in time. It's just easier access, right? That does not determine her being better than Silver. And that's a big thing that people need to understand. Topaz and Pela, just because you use Pela more than Topaz, because you have a Pela and you don't have Topaz, does not make Topaz better than, or does not make Pela better than Topaz. That's like someone saying, hey, I have QQ and QQ does everything perfectly fine for me. So objectively, my QQ is better than Acheron because I don't even use Acheron. I only use QQ. You can't say that. It's the same concept. It's the exact same concept. Now we go into tier 2 because I already talked about Gallagher earlier. Blade. This is fine. Blade's not weak, but he's not strong. He's honestly in the middle. He's really just in the middle. He needs more. And I don't even think giving him a buffer is gonna fix him. That's the worst part about Blade right now. I don't think an HP buffer will all of a sudden take Blade from tier 2 to tier 1.5 because he has Sparkle, he has Mei, he has Jingliu to help him access his follow-up talent a lot more often. He has Silver to guarantee the wind weakness and the defense reduction. He has Pela, and now he's got Robin. Blade has everything. He has access to everything else in the game that everyone else has. And he is still not outputting the same amount of damage that these other characters are doing. Jade will create unlimited blade works. Didn't you guys say unlimited blade works with Sparkle and Bronya? Now he needs Jade? Come on, bro. We can't say that. Tier 2. Luca. Sampo. Shui Yi. I'm surprised Shui Yi is up here because Shui Yi has only just become meta. She was not a meta character before. Shui Yi was all the way the down here. Nobody was using Shui Yi. now that the meta has changed, now that we have that dinosaur, the T-Rex, the quantum T-Rex, and a couple other characters, more players are using Shui. And this is E6, mind you. E0, anything less than E6 is not getting the same results. So E6 Shui, I can see her being up in meta. I still think she's very niche. I think, to be fair, she would be at the top of the niche category. That's so weird. Okay, we'll talk about this in a bit. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, I think she would be at the top of the niche category. Sampo, I was converted. I understand why Sampo's up here now, especially for the fact that like you don't have Swan. Then yeah, you're gonna use Sampo. So Sampo being up here in the meta category, being a DOT, that's fine. Personally, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like the more that I think about it, Luca needs to go up a tier. I think Luca, as far as specialist role, bump up Gwenifin. Gwenifin can get bumped up because there's very few fire characters as it is. Gwenifin makes a really good stand for that. Luca needs to go in tier 1.5. Luca is insane right now, especially E6. And for what's coming up, Luca's gonna be even more insane. Luca is disgusting. With the options available in the game right now, May, Swan, Kafka, even Sparkle, Robin, he's got a lot of access to do what he wants, which is the boom, 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 and get all that crazy break damage and then just re-trigger it again because he gets to build it from his basic attack. E6 Luke is crazy right now. He should be in tier 1.5. Now we get to Pela, which I kind of already talked about Pela, right? We talked about why Pela's here and not up here with Silver, but we do go over here to the sustains. Tier 2 sustains, Bailu, Japard, and Lynx. I personally believe, I think Bailu is still slept on tremendously. Even without Bailu having a cleanse, because theoretically, this is how this works, right? If Bailu got a light cone that gave her the ability to cleanse, Bailu would immediately jump up to tier 1. If they, and we know they're gonna make one, right? That'd be dumb if they didn't make a light cone that had cleanse. When they make a light cone with the ability to cleanse, Bailu will jump to tier 1. Her healing is equivalent of that of Ho-Oh's and Locha's. She has the same effect that Ho-Oh basically has. Hers is called Invigoration. And then she has Res, which in today's meta, in today's game, where you can get one shot if you don't have shields, Bailu doing her not today, blam, and you get rezzed, that is crazy beneficial to have on your team. And she's the only one in the game that no one else has a revive in the game. We don't even if you were to look at Dreams, we haven't seen anyone with a revive coming in the future. Bailu is the only one that has it. She is slept on. At minimum, Bailu needs to be in tier 1.5. She's still very good. The only thing holding her back is literally the cleanse. Japard. Now that we have shields, Aventurine making a very strong comeback, I don't believe Japard is tier 2. I could see the argument, but I think Japard needs a little bit more testing. I think Japard could make a very good unit in tier 1.5, given the fact that any issues that Gallagher would face, Japard would face. I didn't get my energy in time to get my ult. I can't consistently protect the team without having my ultimate. Gallagher faces those same issues. Japard, we're taking into account, now that they mentioned it, we're taking into account the MOC light cones, right? You can buy those light cones from the shop, the standards. Japard gets his standard light cone. I now have easier access to freeze my enemies. My effect hit rate is higher. My defense is higher. My energy regeneration rate to get my ultimate is more consistent now. I think Japard has a lot going for him with the new criteria in the tier list. Lynx can remain in tier 2. Oh yeah, and Japard has a self-revive with increased taunt. Lynx is slowly falling into the niche category. She's great for Clara and Blade, but anyone else, you would ideally want to use Bailu over Lynx. You would want to use Japard over Lynx, minus the fact that Lynx has cleanse. So if you're fighting something that needs to be cleansed, then you would use Lynx, but you would want to use Gallagher over Lynx, Locha over Lynx. Lynx really comes down to, are you playing Clara? Okay, use Lynx. Are you playing Blade? Okay, use Lynx. Do you have any other healer or sustain in the game? No? Okay, use Lynx because she's free. Use Lynx. That's what Lynx is falling down to. I think she's going to get bumped down in niche category. If anything, especially if we don't get another character like Blade or Clara, she's going to get bumped down. Let's move to tier 3. Argenti, Misha, Serval. By now we know how Serval is, right? We know Serval is competing with Jing Yuan. I want to make this very clear. I want to put this out in the ethos because it's already out there. Serval is, at this point in time, beating Jing Yuan for less investment in herself and the team with the same or faster clears. I understand Jing Yuan is an S tier or a 5-star character. He's naturally strong. When are we going to have that conversation that Jing Yuan, performance-wise, is competing with a 4-star character for less investment? And I can see somebody saying, right, QQ and Zila. Oh, QQ does that. No. QQ's whole thing is, did you get lucky or not? Serval has no RNG. There is no RNG in what she's saying, what she's doing. There is RNG in whether or not Jing Yuan gets cracked or hit, and then Lightning Lord gets delayed, right? That's RNG. Serval doesn't care. She gets ultimate twice per cycle. Jing Yuan does not do that. Her ultimates and skills are doing the same damage, if not more, than Jing Yuan's Lightning Lord and ultimates put together. She's outputting more damage than him because she's doing it faster. We've seen, if you haven't seen it, you're not looking hard enough. You don't even have to look hard. It's literally right there. If you haven't seen it, you just don't watch. You're not up to speed on this stuff. Poke's done it. Thera's done it. Moon has done it. I've done it. Has Dreamy, I think Dreamy's done it. Yeah, Dreamy's done it a couple times actually. There are Serval clears significantly easier, less RNG, and faster than Jing Yuan is putting out for less investment. We can't have her in tier 3 and he's in tier 1 and she's performing better than him. I think that is, at that point, is just straight up bias. And that's kind of like rich coming from me, right? But I say this simply because of the fact it's either she's up there with him or he down there with her. You can't have this separation, right? Like this there's a D word that I'm trying to think of, but I can't think of it. But there's something here.
Yeah.
You can't have this. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense how their disparity. Oh, you're so good. You're so good, bro. Thank you. You can't have this disparity between these two characters. No Diddy? I didn't say Diddy, bro. Chill. Because it doesn't make sense. And I get it from like the Jing Yuan main perspective. I know they're gonna like, oh my god, bro, Jing Yuan is like whatever. You just hate Jing Yuan. I don't. I really want y'all to just make me a believer. Prove me wrong. How is Serval competing with Jing Yuan and outperforming him for less investment in every single scenario? Every 1v1, Serval outperforms him. Why is she in tier 3 and he's in tier 1.5? The same arguments that would be made for Jing Yuan should be made for Serval, because she is performing and doing those things for less investment and faster. That doesn't make sense. That's all I'm saying about that. Argenti being in tier 3 makes perfect sense, because if he wasn't in tier 3, he would be in tier 2. Argenti's problem is two things, and it's his kid's fault and it's not his kid's fault. One, he needs multiple big boy enemies to take advantage of his ultimate on the field. Two, if he had what is it? You guys know how Jing Liu's E1, it takes all of the damage and then it condenses it in a 1. So if there's nobody there, then everybody, that one unit takes all the damage. Argenti has, they fixed it. Argenti has that now in his ultimate, right? So all the damage that would have been all the different 10 hits, if there's no other enemy and it's just one enemy, it all hits that one enemy. The problem is, if it's only one enemy, now his energy regeneration rate suffers and he doesn't gain his ultimate as fast, forcing you to have to use Ting Yun's ult multiple times. So it's his kit overall, right? That ultimate in particular. That's honestly all it is. So similar situations to Blade, Jing Yuan, QQ. It's his kit holding him back. Very strong character when he's in his element. Not on element. I mean, that makes sense too. But when he's in the zone, it's the perfect MOC for him. Argenti's fucking cracking skulls. Really good shit. When it's not his zone, it's not his gym. He doesn't have a type advantage. He's not doing it, bro. Gwynaifin, we talked about Gwynaifin. I think Gwynaifin should be bumped up here with Luca and Sampo. He is just as adequate as these two, but I could see the argument for her being a niche character because not too many people use Gwynaifin. I also see the argument for Welt. I don't think, and if there was a way, right, hypothetically, if there was a way to make these two characters tier 2 minimum, but keep them in the niche category, I would be okay with that. Welt is not tier 3. This motherfucker is something else. All right. I don't know if y'all have seen a built out Welt. He no sustain. Welt gonna do that, and he's doing damage at the same time. Sub DPS. Welt's cracking. Welt's making sure he keeping people in the back with Amber. That's what Smack always says, right? Get in the back with Amber. Welt makes sure they in the back with Amber easily with no break effect in mind. You add break effect, they don't even get to play the game, bro. It's crazy. Welt's problem is he's too niche. He's a niche character that you have to find a way to fit him on the team, because in the event you were gonna use Welt, you could find someone else to use. That's his problem. He's too niche, but he's not tier 3. Asta in tier 3 compared to all of the other amplifiers in the game, the argument could be made for Asta going up here in tier 2. Same argument that I'm making for Welt, but I think Asta also falls in a niche category. Because think about it this way. When do we use Asta? We use Asta when we cannot use a Robin, when we can't use Mei, when we cannot find anyone else like besides Ting Yun, when Robin, or my bad, when Bronya just won't work, or we don't have Bronya, we use Asta. Asta is always the secondary or last resort. Hanya is just, we know why Hanya's here. The only time you really see Hanya is when someone wants to do some crazy shenanigans, or you're running a Daniel team. Daniel, no Sparkle, you see Hanya. Nothing for sustain over here. We can move on to tier 4, which by this point, I kind of only want to point out a couple characters, which is Yangqing and Himiko. I don't think Yangqing is down here in this category in tier 4, but I do believe his kit holds him back. Right? Like the further down we get, you can notice a trend. Their kit holds them back. Hook's kit holds her back. Crazy damage output early game. But when you start to realize like how you get that damage and the speed at which you're supposed to get it, the access to that damage, Hook's kit holds her back. Yangqing's kit holds him back. Damn, the fucker sneezed on me and I lost all my buffs. GG, start over. Oh, my buffs aren't guaranteed either. It's like a 50-50. Okay, his kit holds him back. Herta, I only do my follow-up attack once. Unless there's multiple enemies taking HP down to 50% every attack, I only do my follow-up attack once. Her kit holds her back. Regular Don Hung is just damage output. Himiko, her kit is not what holds her back. Although, actually, no. Yeah, her kit does not hold her back. The game, the players are holding Himiko back. Let me say it that way. Right now, playing Break Effect or playing for Break Effect, most players don't give a fuck. They don't need to. If you built something around Break Effect, right? Like the concept of like get as many breaks as possible. Himiko, top of the top, easy. Crazy damage output, strongest attack out of the standard characters in the game. Great light cone options, free to play and limited. Great team options. Works as a main DPS or a sub DPS. Works as a breaker or sub DPS. Has a hybrid build that works very fucking good, right? The only other characters that have a good hybrid build, Sushong, Hui Yi, and Luca, right? Very good character. It's not Himiko and her kit that's holding her back. It's the player base. The player base is holding her back. Sushong. I can admit Sushong is niche, but she is not a tier 4 character. I don't know what kind of crack people aren't smoking, but Sushong is crazy good. Having basically Zila's ability to activate her own resurgence, having a low energy cost, having basically the same that Luca has, just not as strong, but having access to it, being able to crack any elites, what do you call it? Their toughness meter in one combo with Ruan-Mei, like 1.5, maybe 2 combos without Ruan-Mei. Many characters cannot do that. Sushong is naturally fast as boy. Great damage, great hybrid build. Excellent relic set options. Sushong in a
Yeah.
general character, solid as really good character, deserves to be in in my opinion, I think she's tier 2. I keep making this argument, but she is a niche character, I understand. I do not believe she is tier 4.
Yeah.
Himiko and Sushong out of this entire tier 4 list, I don't agree. Fire MC's kit, well, remember I told you guys, the further down we get on the tier list, their kit holds them back. Fire MC has one of the best sustained kits in the game, conceptually. Then you look at their shield. Hey, bro, I know you wanted to live, but what if I only gave you 5% of a shield? Why would you do that? Because that's enough, right? Like 5% is enough for you to live. Bro, they think more than 5% damage. I can't do nothing with that. It's horrible. During the beta for Fire MC, wasn't his shield like 30%? It was like 35% or something like that. Fire MC in the beta was strong. And I know they nerfed him because he was too strong. Having taunt, damage reduction for himself and everyone else, and a good shield. Oh my god. And then strong break effect too. Dude, they really went out of their way to make MC strong. And they nerfed it. They nerfed it. Moving further to the right, we have Yukong, which I have been having some newfound respect for Yukong. Yukong is niche, but I'm gonna keep it a buck. Yukong might be a tier 2 or a tier 1.5 character. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Yukong's problem is the kit. She is, let me show you guys. I'm trying to think of how I want to play the game, but let me show you guys the 5-star version of Yukong. It's Robin. The 5-star version of Yukong, not kit wise. That's not what I mean. I mean accessibility, playing them, the level of thinking required, the level of prep time, right? Batman. Yukong requires the same investment that you would put into a Robin. Yukong's buffs are fucking insane. Playing this character on the board, doing what she wants when she wants it, the right timing of the buffs, awesome. The requirement to play this character, bro, it's like, if you guys are familiar with Street Fighter, she's like Dalsim. Dalsim is one of the hardest characters. Zangief, right? These are some of the hardest characters to play in the game. But if you master that character, you beat people just because they don't know how to fight you. Yukong is that type of character. She is strong if you know how to use her, if you build her, insane. And she works amazingly with some of the teams. Some of your best teams would love a Yukong. But finding out how to pilot a Yukong with the team is very difficult work. Not the average player stuff. They don't want to do that. Robin is the 5-star version of that. Not as difficult to pilot, but still more difficult than the other options like Sparkle, Mei, or even Bronya and Ting Yun. Tier 4, we have March 7th and Natasha. Again, their kits hold them back. Lastly, we have the forgotten ones. Arlen. I cannot defend Arlen anymore. I would love to, but I cannot. I think Arlen's kit holds him back. He has the same issue that Yang Qing has. I want a shield. I want to get low HP, baby. Where's my shields? And with Aventurine, maybe we can see some changes. Maybe Arlen can get bumped up to tier 4 because he does have really good damage. He has some solid damage built into his kit, especially when you start adding buffers. But none of that matters if you can't keep that shield up and you can't keep his HP down. And with some of the mechanics in the game right now, they go through shields. Some enemy mechanics in the game, you got 1 HP and you got like 999 shield, they're going to do that 1 HP and take off your shields. Physical MC, what can I say? Kit holds them back, not enough power. I think Physical MC is one of the coolest characters in the game. That bat, something crazy. Reminds me of Kick. Love it. Kit holds them back. Ultimately, with all of the suggestions that I made for the tier list, I think the new system, the new revamp, man, Prydwen, I love that you guys are going forward with this. And again, I want to really, that's what I didn't show you guys. Let me actually click on it. So one thing that I want to show you guys real quick, for Prydwen, when you click on a character, you go to the character stuff, builds and teams. This is a very important section of Prydwen that I think not enough people really pay attention to. They do all the calcs.
Yeah.
Anytime that you want to see some calcs or anything like that, it's all in here, right? So if you want to see like what's the best relic set to use, or you know, like who's using what the most, why it's being used, they take a lot of time out to usually write this stuff out, give you some brief information. Something that I want to point out, this section right here, teams. This is when I mentioned it earlier in the video, right? At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that I was going to start working with Prydwen, or trying to work with Prydwen on getting this stuff built out for all of like the meta defining characters, right? The majority of DPS characters, because that's really all that matters for is the DPS characters, and try and get some brief explanations written out for a lot of these teams, a lot of these main characters. I think this section needs to get used more often on Prydwen. I then think that needs to be taken into its own tier list so that we can start tiering teams instead of just characters, just solo characters. We can eventually start tiering up the teams and going from there. But that's going to be it. We've got everything out of the way, right? I've done the tier list. We've gone over the criteria. We've talked about the team section. I've talked about a super expansive fucking section or discussion, debate, whatever you want to call it, on Robin versus May, which will have its own video with, you know, calcs and Google Sheets and you know, my theories on everything like that, me testing stuff in game just to prove the differences and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But ultimately, I loved it. Prydwen, great job on the tier list, man. I really do enjoy what's going on so far. How do I go back? Oh no. Is this my back button? That's not my back button. Anyhow, I'm gonna wrap that up. Okay. We had a nice nearly 3-hour stream today. I got out both videos that I wanted to, technically 3, because we did the summons as well. I'm ending off the video. Thank y'all for watching. If you want to see more of this kind of content, by all means. Oh, for those that made it, haven't announced yet, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and go through with it. I was gonna do a Patreon, but some people convinced me to do my YouTube members instead. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. The thing that I want to mention is we've had some homies helping us out with editing. I want to use the YouTube membership money
Yeah.
to fund them editing. I want to give that membership money to them. If you guys want to help out, by all means, become a member on the channel. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I don't know what I'm gonna offer for membership yet. I could offer early videos. I know that I will be doing account reviews. How I'm gonna do that, I don't know, because if hypothetically, if like 200 of y'all member up, there's no way I can do 200 account reviews in like a day or something like that. So let me figure some stuff out. But obviously, my early adopters for the membership wave, helping out with the editors to get more content out for you guys so that I can start getting 5 videos out a week consistently, that would be wonderful. We could have more consistent streams. It's all about that kind of stuff. Now with that, yo, chill. Okay, I'm gonna figure it out. But yeah, that's it. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Smell you later.